A sense of Bookworm has been on a roll, we all can agree with that, but this latest episode had me glued and so focused beyond any episode that I can remember watching in this anime, where I was so focused in on this episode that just aired. Obviously, we're talking about the past two episodes, but this latest one, episode 11 of season 2, I was so focused that I legit thought I didn't blink the entire way through, and less than a minute passed before the credits started rolling, and I realized we only had one episode left to go. And I love Bookworm for its simplicity, and a lot of it's more just like, hey, it's creating things, there's these character pieces. I'm not just saying this because, ooh, it was a cool action piece. In all honesty, there wasn't all that much action. It's been more or less the same amount of action as we've seen anytime we fought anything. It's been just really focusing on the characters and the whole nobility status, but it was so interesting to see it in such a power scale where you have someone who is a high-ranking knight attacking our girl and what could happen, especially when dealing with such a monster. It was great to see what happened, and to see Papa Ferdinand come in, smack that fool around, not actually physically assault him, but, well, honestly, he probably would have preferred a punch to the face, because when he gets talking, saying, you know what, you're right, rank is important. You should never talk to someone who is above your rank in a disrespectful way. Who's the highest ranking? Right here, bitch. And he's just laying down the law. And the fact that they lay down the law in such a realistic way of being like authority and rank is everything. And even the commander, who you would think did nothing wrong, picked someone he thought he could trust, but is also getting punished. Like, I love how there's actually like this disciplinary system. It's really, really solid. And while I don't think that one knight's gonna get the same amount of punishment, because mine's probably gonna talk with Ferdinand saying, hey, he was actually a good person, I don't want him to get the same treatment, but it'll be interesting to see what the person who pulled a knife on our girl is going to get for a punishment, and what type of actions he'd want to take out against her should he get ripped of his status, or even if he doesn't get ripped, what he might want to do. This was a great 2 episodes, and yeah, I know I'm a little late to the party. These episodes air on Saturday, and I'm coming in on a Thursday for a joint review, but life can be a little hectic, and I wanted to make time still for these while we wait for that last episode of season 2. One episode to go, airs in just a couple of days, but still, like, it seems just so good. It seems so fantastic to look at this season, and I know there's a lot of people who said it's only recently that the second season got started and felt like season 1, but I disagree. I think season 2 has been a step above season 1 pretty much ever since it started airing around the episode 2 or 3 mark of this season. It just feels like everything that I loved about the past season is still there. Maybe some of the creation side was scaled down, but the whole church angle and the religion angle, it is so fascinating, and it's not just because of the whole religion and like mana draining, it's because of the hierarchy and just so many things trying to push our girl down, and her being more and more implemented into situations she wants to have her jaw on the floor, wants to speak her mind, or have a dumb look on her face because she's shocked at flying creatures, and this seems so fantasy and tropey, yet it's realistic and actually real for what this society is built off of. This latest episode was just so remarkable to me because you can say, oh, it was action-packed, they were flying into battle, they were doing these crazy arrow maneuvers, but really, what we just saw is very similar to what we saw when the kids were using their little hatchets to take down these plant-based monsters, just on a larger scale. It wasn't all that much. It was a couple of arrow fires, and they charged in, and then we focused back onto mine. So this isn't one of those episodes that I think people are going to say is amazing because, ooh, it was eye candy. There are some cool spectacle moments, and I love the idea of the arrow splitting apart, but honestly, it was just because of what happened with mine and her once again having to deal with something. Honestly, one of the biggest threats she's had to deal with up until this point, because someone who is her bodyguard and who has a higher rank than her and can't talk back, and just like, what do you do in this situation when the only person who's kind of sticking up for you is a lower rank than this scumbag? Like, I didn't think he was actually going to gouge her eyes out, but he was pulling her hair. We know how fragile her body is, and the fact that she got cut and that blood could create such a monstrosity. Like, what do you do? Our boy Fran gets punched in the face for just trying to look after his master. There was so many emotions running through me, and I just kept thinking to myself, as much as I hate this person, it's not like he's the only one who's like this. There is such a corruption in the way of thinking with this society and nobility that you just want to strip nobility away. You want to do something where, like, you just break the chains and you just let people be equal rather than having this status above their head. And it's like, as much as you want to see this scummy knight beheaded, that's not going to change anything. There's still going to be this corruption, and maybe you could argue, well, if he gets his head cut off for being disrespectful to mine, well, maybe that'll set a precedent that you shouldn't do this. But I think Ferdinand has the right idea. You're punishing him by the eyes of the god, which is what they believe in, but also, if Mine can prove herself in this moment with this last episode, then she'll have the support and guardianship of literally the most powerful army that she could have. Should she fail, I don't think many people are going to want to stick up for him, minus that one guy who kind of did after sweating bullets, not wanting to speak his mind because higher-ups were around him and who knows what could happen. I'm really hoping they really stick the landing for the final episode, and I'm sure they will, but it's just comparing episode 11 to every episode that I've watched of Bookworm, it was such a different ballpark. It was such a different adrenaline rush watching situations where you actually thought Mine could get stabbed. Like, that's a very terrifying feeling. Devouring is one thing, having a knight who has more authority and power in this situation, and even if he doesn't by a technical stance, he has a knife above a sickly girl, and who's gonna stop him, especially the people surrounding him, have no say unless they want to get beheaded. And you know, characters like Fran would probably do that unless his master says otherwise, like she did. It was really interesting to see that, and I'm just glad Ferdinand is the type of character he is, and that he's on her side and he has the authority that he does, seeing him in knight form, not in his priest uniform. Apparently he used to be a very high-ranking knight and decided to go into the church, probably trying to do change or something like that. It's good that he's on her girl's side, but should he ever decide to be a bad person, Mine is going to be screwed, because he has a lot of authority in this situation, both in the church and when he goes riding in on battle on his flying horse. It's like, what in the actual hell? This society, it feels so realistic despite having an element of magic and wonder to it, because the way the hierarchy is and just the authority and just the titles, it feels so bullshit, and that's what makes it so interesting. Like, that's why with the previous episode, when Mine is pretty much confronting her family about wanting to stay over in the winter, mainly because, one, she did get pretty much everything she wanted when joining the church. She wouldn't be alive if it wasn't for the church, and also, she has to look after the orphanage. It's understandable why the father is so damn against this, and he honestly has every right to be mad or be just, grumpy about the situation, because this isn't a good society. They are looked down upon and ridiculed, and who knows what could happen. But obviously I love the build-up and how the family was really supportive, and, when you drop the bombshell of, hey, I would be dead without the church right now, the church has given us everything we wanted, and you're allowed to visit us, it sucks, but I have to look after these kids. Once you drop the kids line, that's kind of hard to say no. And it was really sweet to see how the family was supportive and how the father has some pretty grumpy and adorable face, like, why you always go to your sister, you can come to me. There's some great little moments, but the build up to just like this big epic battle that honestly wasn't all that big and epic in terms of the size of the creature, sure, but the fact that they focused once again on characters more so than cool action and spectacle is why we love Bookworm to begin with, because it knows what it's doing. It knows that the characters are what makes it interesting, and the world and the lore and the politics, the religion, that's the icing on the cake, and they keep sprinkling us more and more when we say, hey, we have enough ice cream in the bowl, we're good, we're comfy. They give us another damn scoop, and we're like, you know what, I can probably still eat this, just no more scoops. We eat that extra scoop, they give us another one. That's how it feels watching this second season. What I love about season 1 is here, it's alive and well, but they keep giving us more and more, and I absolutely love this. Mine's voice actress and just honestly the animation for her very scared body reaction in this latest episode was remarkable, because you knew how scared she was, and she gave a great performance, and honestly the Scummy Knight did as well. He made you want to throw up and punch him in the face based on the design and how he was presenting his voice acting. It's just crazy to think about Bookworm when it first started airing. I watched the first episode and I thought it was fine, but it wasn't going to be a show for me. I wasn't really seeing the hype. And then down the line, it was like 6 or 7 episodes in, I kept seeing hype, so I binged it. I forced myself to binge it. And I was like, I can't believe I almost slept on this. And now seeing where season 2 is going, this is a show that I'm honestly not going to forget, and it's weird to think about that, because I know a lot of people were hooked since episode 1, but for me it took me a little while to get there, but just thinking about the world and how much detail is put into just the chemistry of the characters, the lore behind it, the politics systems, the hierarchy, there is such an amount of detail that it feels like a past very similar to our own, just with a slight hint of magic that isn't overly in your face like you're watching a Harry Potter or Little Witch Academia. The magic's there, it's impressive, but it's the characters and just with a slight hint and a slight flavor of magic, so it makes it feel like a past not too different than our own, just with some slight alterations with characters and, obviously creatures like magical trees coming up and things like that. The show is remarkable. It's going to be sad seeing it go next week, and I don't know if we're going to get a third season, because when season 1 was basically being made, they were already working on this being like 26 episodes. So if we do get a season 3, like confirmation, or even a season 3 in general, probably be down the line. I doubt they're going to immediately confirm it like they did with, the first core, because essentially they were always building these episodes together, just needed the space apart. So I hope we do get a season 3, because it seems like it's getting better and better with time, but if we don't, I hope it leaves off on a decent enough stopping point that we can say, you know what, at the very least we had a good run, but damn will that source material be calling for me if they don't confirm a season 3 within the next year. Let me know your thoughts and opinions on either the latest episode or the one previous down in the comment section below. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a like to show your support, and remember to hit that subscribe button if you happen to be new around here. So until next time everyone, please take care and have a good one.